Hello, art friends. My name is Fleshwood, and today I'm drawing monsters in Animal Crossing New Horizons screenshots. I saw a horror pal by the username at SMCUIA do this, and it came out pretty creepy, and I knew I had to attempt it as well. I have a video in the past drawing on top of photos, and that was honestly one of my favorite videos I've ever created, and somehow now I think this one tops it. Our first screenshot comes directly from at SMCUIA. What a pal, and it is set on a beach at nighttime. Originally, I thought maybe a body bag on the sand, but then I was like, better not. And so then I thought of something in the water, maybe something in the distance. But my eye kept getting drawn to the rock formation. Could be that it is in the center of the photo, not sure, but I found it very interesting. I decided to make a second rock formation and kind of form it into a lady. I loved playing with the edges of the rock and the moonlight bouncing off. I kind of feel like this lady is my go-to monster. Doesn't change the fact that I honestly think she is very creepy. I'd imagine in real life she'd slowly open her mouth and you'd hear the slight rumble of rocks breaking as she does so. This one is titled The Beach at Nighttime. Our second screenshot was submitted by I'm.scary on Instagram. This screenshot is also at nighttime. The moon, however, is a waxing crescent, as opposed to the full moon in the first screenshot. We see a lovely character sitting alone on a bench, looking out towards the sky. There is a green tent to the far left of him, and to the left of that a pole speaker stands upright. My first thought for this was Siren Head. Siren Head is a cryptic designed by a horror artist by the name of Trevor Henderson. I will leave his info down below. Here's a photo describing some details on Siren Head. I decided to keep it a dark blue instead of changing the color to the brownish red it normally is, for the sole fact that it would fit in better with the color scheme. Had I drawn Siren Head on its own, then I would have used the correct colors, of course. I call this one simply Siren Head. Next screenshot was submitted by a friend and actually takes place in the daytime. I almost didn't want to choose this one because of that, but then I remembered this one thing I saw a while back about the best horror artists can make monsters in the light, and I think that's an interesting idea, and I'm always up for a challenge. In this photo, we can see the main character standing alongside a little cart. This cart is actually called a street organ. Like an organ for the street. It can play music by winding the lever in the back. Very similar to a Jack-in-the-Box. I wanted to draw a very creepy ghost-like girl, spiritually attached to the organ. And like maybe she's the one that winds it. If you think about it, so creepy. She could be like in a circus or something. Speaking of circus, I played around with a couple of poses, but I felt like a pose inspired by a contortionist would fit best. I call this one, When I bought this street organ, I had no idea she would come with it. The next one has gotta be one of my favorite out of all of them. It is a screenshot submitted by an art pal at Caffeine Hug. She makes spooky art sometimes, but always cute. She should really try out this challenge. I'd love to see what she would come up with. In this photo, it is nighttime. We are by the beach once again, this time on a dock or deck. And the main character is seen running away from the edge with an axe. I see water, I think lake. My brain immediately goes to Friday the 13th. I actually think this is the only time I've ever drawn Jason. Hopefully not the last. But imagine playing Animal Crossing and Jason just pops up out of the water. I mean, that is terrifying. I decided to draw him poking up out of the water. Maybe they just had this big battle and she's pushed him into the lake and now she is running away. I call this one Run. Let me know in the comments if I should make a whole video drawing slashers into Animal Crossing screenshots. I'd be so down to do that. Oh yeah, and if you want to try out this challenge, go for it. Tag me on Instagram at FleshWorldYT. I'd love to see. Next screenshot was also sent by a friend and is set in a quaint little corner of what seems to be a quaint little house. I went straight for the wallpaper. Maybe it fell off on its own. Maybe someone tore it off. Wallpaper is kind of freaky like that. You never know what's under it, or what you're uncovering by tearing it up. I knew as soon as I saw the chair I needed to draw someone or something sitting in it. I originally wanted to draw a creepy ghost girl again, but I had to stop myself. I've noticed, like I mentioned earlier, she's my go-to creepy monster, and it's best to break habits before they can continue and get worse. My first thought was a grudge-inspired hair ghost in the upper corner, but I couldn't really figure out the pose very well and I was too lazy to find a reference, so I went with the ever so creepy haunted girl doll. And of course, her head had to be twisted at a very wrong angle. I call this one, It Wasn't Me, It Was the Doll. Last screenshot was also submitted by Caffeine Hug and is of the main character and two villagers, Champagne and Gabi, having a tea party in front of what seems to be City Hall. But something isn't quite right with Gabi. I drew on top of her to make her look a little possessed. I then edited her teacup out of her hand and onto the floor, with a little bit of tea spilled out of it. I gave her these huge soulless eyes, with a tiny shine of white in the middle, and I elongated her mouth. I also made a chew mark on her left ear for extra spooks. I created another worldly shadow in place of her normal shadow, a freaky multi-limbed, ripped-out hair snake creature. Last but not least, a missing sign, presenting a black and white photo of Gabi with the words, "If found, do not approach." I call this one Tea Party. Thank you so much to everyone who submitted a screenshot. This was honestly a ton of fun. I might have to do it again. I so wish I had Animal Crossing, but drawing spooky stuff on top of screenshots will suffice for now. Thank you so much for watching, art friends. Until the next video, bye!